critical EDH. Finger licking good.
I'm Jason.
I'm Eric.
Thanks for Landgo for sponsoring us. Go to their event in Nashville, Tennessee, the Landgo Expo.
Yeah, May 24th, 25th. Looks like it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
It's, we're just coming off the back. We're going to talk about this a little bit later in the episode of a big 2-day tournament as well. And they're just so much fun to go to. And the more I go to them, the more fun they get. And so I'm really, really excited about this one. And if you haven't been, I think this is a great one to go to. It seems like they're putting in a lot of work to make it really, really easy to attend. And then it just seems like it's going to be all around a really, really good time.
Yeah, it's a 10K cEDH tournament. They have other events going off too. This is a diamond event for diamond points. So if you need a push for the invitational, this might be something that you need to go to.
At 2-day events like this, even if you don't do good enough to get those points you desperately need, there is still usually a redemption event. There definitely is at this tournament as well. So you can definitely plan on having a great time both day 1 and day 2. And there's always so much stuff that goes on, whether it's people grabbing dinner here or there, or just meeting to lobby con. It's conventions and tournaments like this are just super duper fun. So would highly encourage you, even if you're only marginally interested, go to the Top Deck page, check it out.
Maybe there's some other side events that you actually want to go to.
Yeah,
come with a couple friends.
Now, speaking of things that you want to check out, this is our episode of Keeping Tabs, cEDH. So what's in our next tab? It's our own YouTube channel. The reason we've got this up here is because we've been busy bees, and so we're just coming back from Heisenberg, and we're still actually in the process of releasing a lot of our SCG-Con footage. So we're going to be uploading a lot of stuff. We are super excited to talk more about the Heisenberg. We're actually going to be doing a tournament breakdown, a top 16 video later. And we know you're excited for it as well, but we definitely have some stuff still coming out from last weekend that we're really excited, and hopefully you guys will get to check out.
Look out for my tournament report.
Another place to check us out is on Patreon. As we did with our mental misstep video, given just the sheer amount of content that we were recording as we either experiment with new styles or just we're just playing so much cEDH and we're talking about cEDH so much, we don't want to just overload our subscribers. So if you have gone through our discography, as it were, and for some reason you're not bored of hearing me and Jason or me and Logan talk, check out our Patreon. It's not paid. You don't have to do anything.
You get early access to all our videos, straight off the wood press.
Yeah, fresh off the assembly line. Speaking of things off the assembly line, Jack Sparrow, as he's known in Top Deck, one of our local players, wore our shirts, and while he is anything other than cookie cutter, he is wearing a shirt that you two can get from our Bonfire website.
Get this. The Big C.
The Big C. In his instance, it stands for Captain Jack Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow.
Here's a green one I'm hoping to get. Just because I love green. It's one of my favorite colors in cEDH. It's my wife's favorite color in general. Dude, let's go. And then kind of last thing from our own content before we go into more general cEDH stuff. One of the comments in our last Keeping Tabs video caught our eye. We're trying to routinely kind of showcase members of our community. And I thought this was a really, really interesting comment because it's on a topic that I feel like I think about a lot.
Yeah.
And they're talking about this idea of forcing a draw by threatening to let someone win. And they're making the argument, Night Locker, MTG, that it should be considered collusion. I've definitely been in a lot of tournaments. Heck, I've even been this player where I'm like, I have this force of this pact of negation, and I can use it and I can stop their win, but then I don't have the ability to win after them. So the only way for me to move forward in this tournament and still be on the up and up is if I use it to force a draw. And if you are unwilling to draw, then I will pass on this, Underworld Breach. I will pass on this Tainted Pact, and I'll let them win unless you draw right now. And Nightlocker says that's collusion. And I don't think they are necessarily alone in this. I think a lot of players have had this tournament experience of whether it's like an experienced veteran kind of like applying social pressure to like a newer player, or using cards in their hand to play really aggressively or force people to make plays in ways that sometimes feel like they're using things other than mechanics inside the game of cEDH to decide a cEDH game. What are some of your thoughts on that?
Unfortunately, this feels like a byproduct of how tournaments are run, right? Because sometimes the best way out of this is just a draw. The whole collusion thing, right? It's a really hard topic to go about, because most of the judges I've talked to, they just let the game be played out however it needs to be, right? Every game action is legal in this regard. Is how they tell me every time.
Yeah, it's something I would be interested to. Maybe we need to find a way to get a judge on the channel. But I feel like collusion is a word I hear players talk about way more than I hear judges talk about.
Yeah, I think that's very true, because I think sometimes we just overreact to what happens in games, and maybe that's true, maybe that's not. Yeah,
I definitely am interested as we, especially as a cEDH community, continue to explore what we're capable of, where we're able to push the limits, and it pushes our format forward, or whether we push the limits and it kind of goes beyond the scope of what we might consider, typically Magic the Gathering appropriate. I think aggressive politics are definitely something that, as I continue to try more and more to play like SC players playing in top pods, the more I recognize that there's definitely ways that you can like take like legitimate game actions, but that they either cross the line, or you are using them in ways that are like maybe disingenuous to, I think, what a lot of people might consider the spirit of cEDH.
Sure.
And I think specifically the fact that you're in a tournament and there's money on the line really changes the math.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. I was talking to a comedian about this back at Fishbowl, and one of the things he was talking about is that a lot of people put like Pact on the stack, draw now or else too early, when they do still have plenty of other game actions they can take that would result in them like winning. And that's definitely something I think I'm trying to like weed out of myself as a player, because you see the opportunity for 1 point just kind of like there on the table.
So like I want to chime in, right? I think this is like, it's super easy to do that, right? You just roll for Pact and cast it. It's a lot harder to actually try to push for a win. I think players need to make the mental shift on trying to win the game instead of trying to draw the game. Obviously, this isn't active at all times, right? You can't just win every game.
I wish.
Yeah, I know, right? I wish. But I do really think like most players need to have a mental shift, right? You're here to win the game, not draw the game. You can't draw into top 16 from all your games. Yeah.
And I think a small like subset of that mentality is you have to be able to, I think, have the mental flexibility to recognize that like you have exhausted all your options in the game, and so now the best way to win the tournament is to draw this game. But something I'm trying more and more is that whenever I'm in games, I'm not even thinking about draws.
No, the mental shift to come back from locking in a draw is extremely drastic. Because when you're looking towards a draw, you're not looking for a win anymore. And to just try to reset from that and then go into your next turn thinking about winning the game, you're subconsciously also thinking about the last game where you were thinking about drawing instead of winning.
Absolutely. Like if you give yourself, and it is like, I've been in games where I thought I was dead to rights. I thought I was going to lose. And then I was able to squeeze a draw off of it. And like, I think like those are moments that like I'm proud of being able to take a bad situation and turn it into a kind of good situation. But then I end up in this weird situation where I'm in the next game and things start going south, instead of aiming all the way up at a win, now I've kind of like conditioned myself over the course of the last like hour or two to aim for a draw. And that's where, I think that I'm sure Night Locker and most of our viewers out there have had games where it's ended in draws. And it's just, I'm sure it feels so frustrating when you know that someone could have walked away with a win. And that other players, they hadn't exhausted all their options yet. But yeah, I think if you're mulliganing for Pact of Negation,
God, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say I'm bowling for Pact of Negation and also say they've won a tournament.
No. You're either going to lose your matches or potentially a few friends.
Something I want to add on to this too is if you shoot for the stars, sometimes you land on the moon.
Yeah. Dude, that was my oldest sister's high school graduation quote. Truer words never spoken. Speaking of true words, so many people, including us, were predicting what would be unbanned, and some of us were right.
R.I.P. Prime Time.
Rip Prime. I really thought it was going to happen. I was so sure. I'm still in a period of mourning with the Build-A-Bear Workshop guys. But we definitely did get some unbans with some promises that I think there's going to be more coming, but not until 2026. Let's kind of move from kind of the like speculation that I think that us and a lot of the Magic the Gathering community has been doing for the last few months, and instead start moving towards some more specifics, because we've got a list in front of us straight from the horse's mouth.
Sure.
These cards are unbanned right now.
Gifts Ungiven, Sway of the Stars, Braid's Cabal Minion, Coalition Victory, and Panoptic Mirror.
Some of these I know they've been talked about before, but I still had to go and look them up on Scryfall. I forgot about what Sway of the Stars was.
Is that the reset the game?
It's like yeah. Panoptic Mirror is like a worse Isochron Scepter.
I mean, you get extra turns, right?
You do get extra turns. You do have to cast an artifact, activate an artifact,
hey,
and then resolve a spell.
Maybe if you're Tyler, you just tutor it out with Arkham.
Coalition Victory, that is if you have a land of every color, a land of every basic land type, and a creature that of every color, you get to win the game. It's a sorcery. Braids is a creature.
No. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, they sack a creature or a land or an artifact, right?
Or an artifact. 2 colorless, 2 black. Sway of the Stars, I think it's 8 or 10 mana. It's ridiculously huge.
Yeah.
And then
I think it's 10 mana.
Is it 10?
Yeah.
Oh, well, if it was 8 mana, I was going to put it in my decks. But no.
Hey, maybe it's a Yuriko win con, you know?
Honestly,
you cast it right, then you reset the game. Everyone's at 10. First Yuriko flip, die.
Dang, I'm gonna think about that. It seems like the main card that has people talking though is the one at the top of the list. Gifts Ungiven. In fact, it is so much so the only one that people are talking about that it's the only other tab from this list that we have pulled up.
For 3 colorless and a blue. It is a instant speed tutor, basically. Search your library for 4 cards with different names and reveal them. Target opponent chooses 2 of these cards. Put the chosen cards into your graveyard and the rest into your hand. Then shuffle your library.
I think this card, even though it's been on the ban list for most people's cEDH experience, it will more than likely seem pretty familiar to people due to its resemblance to Intuition.
Yeah.
Really strong card that is essentially a win con in its own right in a lot of decks.
Yeah, it assembles like it's basically a 1 card demonic tutor assembler for Underworld Breach. I'm sure there's other combos I'm missing here too.
Yeah, there's got to be you know, what's your Intuition pile? You get Rhystic, copy Artifact, and Steel Enchantment.
Yeah.
Now with Gifts Ungiven, you can throw in.
Now with Gifts Ungiven, you can get Mirror Maid, Copy Enchantment, Rhystic Study, Savine's Reclamation. welcome to Ristic Hell Part 2.
No, no. I think that. I think that.
Maybe we gotta put in the Estrid's Invocation too.
Dude, I actually saw that card during Heisenberg. But more traditionally, per what you were saying earlier, this is used with breach piles, and so this is going to either give you the opportunity to throw in your Brain Freeze along with your Savine's LED and Underworld Breach, or supposing you already have access to several of them, it just gets you more silences, more counter magic. You know, at worst, the floor of this card is you're paying 4 mana to tutor 4 cards. 2 of them go to your hand and 2 of them go to your graveyard. But in CEDH, especially if you're in blue, you're more than likely going to be in Dimir or some form
or
of...
like even Dimir Plus.
Or Dimir Plus. You're going to be able to either get those cards back from the graveyard, or the graveyard is where you wanted them in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's not that much of a downside. I know that over in the Rock Thrash Discord, a lot of them have been talking about you can just do Breach, Noxus Survival, like Eternal Witness, and like Shifting Woodland or something.
Or even like Finale gets back Ewit.
Finale does get back Ewit. There's so many ways that you really don't care if something goes to the graveyard, or like that's just where you want it in the first place. And so this does theoretically open the door and expand the window for a lot of decks.
God, I hate that Rock Thrash gets more toys.
This is it's still a really good time if you're playing a deck that splashes in blue right now. So aside from finally knowing, right, we now all know it's been unbanned. Now it's time to start speculating on which decks do we think are going to see a huge buff.
I think lower color blue decks are gonna enjoy this the most. I personally will not be playing it in Blue Farm because I just can't cut a card for it.
Yeah, it's the I think specifically in Blue Farm, the fact that it's 4 mana instead of 3 is a bit of an issue.
Yeah, like honestly, 3 mana versus 4 mana is huge in Blue Farm. Versus like something like Rock Thrash, they have like infinite mana.
Or Kinnan.
Kinnan
I don't know if Kinnan is necessarily in the market of looking for more instants, but I think this does give you the opportunity, just being able to take 4 cards from your library and put them somewhere else.
Maybe this is how you force draws even more, is that you cast a Gifts Ungiven targeting someone else, and then you tell them to get 2 counter spells. 1 card for 2 counter spells. And then you're like, all right, guys, let's draw the game now. And then someone else resolves their Gifts Ungiven. And then we get more counter spells.
My Gifts Ungiven pile is Pact of Negation, Flare of Duplication, and Fail to Find. Everything else in my deck shares a name with those 2 cards. I think Jeskai really likes this. I assume Elsha probably loves this card.
Yeah.
I know that it is a little expensive.
Most Jeskai piles will enjoy this.
This has got to be super good at Malcolm Brews. I don't know if this quite makes its way into like 5-color piles. Like, I don't know if Sisse wants this.
No, Sisse already doesn't run Intuition. So basically, like, most decks that want a second copy of Intuition will run it.
I imagine this is actually probably pretty good in Nagila because you can just cut Samut. Because like, why do you need to draw pay 3 mana to draw 3 cards when you can pay 4 mana to get all of the cards that you would have wanted to draw?
That's a hot take. That's a hot take.
You think Samut is uncuttable?
Yeah, that card is so good. It just says draw card on it.
What are you gonna draw?
Then you can draw into Gifts Ungiven and then like 5 counters. Bam.
That's
Easy.
true. You just natty Pact of Negation, Flare Duplication.
Just put more win cons. That's how we need to do it, right? More win cons in a deck.
Do you think Tivit does this? Do you think it's just kind of like Esper wants this?
Oh man, it's really hard to evaluate this card outside of Breach, honestly. Like, honestly, we just need more time for the format to develop with gifts in it.
Yeah.
I think Master of Keys is maybe like one of the biggest winners from this
Oh yeah.
card, because like you can just cast everything you get off of it.
Yeah.
Get 4 Ristic Studies, bam, cast 4 Ristic Studies.
Yeah. Because I think that's a deck that already wants to be running a lot of like reanimate effects.
For sure.
Yeah, I am really, really interested to see. We were talking with Logan about this beforehand. Well, I think that me and you kind of have our opinions on the decks that we already play about this card. Like, I don't think this goes in Kodama Ishai.
Oh my. Guys, watch out. Kodama Ishai, top 16 breakdown coming soon.
But I do think that this is going to kind of expand the window, exactly like you said, for some of those lower color blue piles.
Yeah.
Because Blue Farm doesn't, not every Blue Farm list is going to have room for this. Not every, Rockside list is going to have room for this. But like a Yuriko, Italian, like a lot of these like 2 or 3 color piles might be able to squeeze it in. It's going to open up a lot of ways to kind of expand the flexibility that your deck is able to present.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how it
maybe
shakes
we'll
out.
start to see worse cards like Snapcaster Mage with this guy.
I was looking at Snapcaster Mage the other day.
Dude, because you can get Thoracle, Reanimate, Consult, and Snapcaster Mage.
Oh dang! Oh dang!
It's a Demir pile right there.
Oh dang! Oh man! Well, if you guys are excited about this and you're playing a deck that you're like, I needed it right now.
I need a way to win the game.
If you think there is a better Gifts Ungiven pile than Pact of Negation, Flare of Duplication, and Fail to Find, let us know. We'd like to hear about it.
Yeah.
Let's see what we're looking at next.
Oh, congrats to Freedom Waffle,
Dude,
Evan Pierce on winning.
Congrats to
Heisenberg.
To Evan Freedom Waffle Pierce.
Evan Freedom Waffle Pierce.
If you go and you watch the stream for how he won the Heisenberg,
God.
it is insane.
When I knew when he kept for 7, we were boned.
He's such a good player. In a top pod, having the confidence to evaluate what decisions you're going to be able to make a turn or two from then, and knowing when's your window, because in a game like top 4, if you man, the only thing that's coming to mind right now is if you blow your load too early, there's got to be a better way of wording that. But if you just put it all out there and then you're out of the game, it is super hard to claw back in a situation like that. But
I bet you every time I mulled down lower, he was like, yes.
To tell a short story short, though, he had a turn 2 Kinnan win.
Yep.
He had Basalt and then Hullbreaker Horror as an outlet for a Springleaf Drum and a Simic Signet.
Yep. God, that was...
And he just had it.
That was so crazy.
Yeah. It's... You can look at it from a distance and you can say, oh, he just got really lucky, or oh, this is why Kinnan is busted, and oh my god, we need a Ristic Band, and blah, 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 blah. I view this as an exercise in the value of fundamentals, in recognizing like the order he casts his spells matters a lot. The when he chooses to play Kinnan or a Signet or stuff like that, but also a lot of decision making in terms of
even like
pod composition,
the pregame mulligan too, because Rogthras is a deck that does not run a high density of interaction, and realistically the only ones who have interaction is me, and I mulled to 4.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, the window is wide open.
Yeah.
And I think I called it on stream too.
When
he cast Kinnan with no other rocks or no other rocks. He didn't even like play Kinnan with like a Chromox. He just straight up land Kinnan with the gemstone. I was like, guys, we're dead on turn 2. All right, are you gonna natty turn 2 us with Assault? He just looks at me and I'm like, okay.
Evan, I need you to say no. Say no. But yeah, it was super awesome to watch on stream. He's a really, really great player, and so it's always great to see that rewarded with a victory. It was a pretty impressive top pot as well, which you were a part of. Congrats for making it all the way there. You did so on the back of Blue Farm. You continue to be a really, really good pilot for that deck.
God, I snuck into 16.
Yeah.
You know, highest breakers for a 12. Whew. the last 12. And then I just won my 16. My top 16 pot in last seat.
Yeah. It's difficult. I also managed to sneak into top 16. That was also last season. I didn't manage to pull out a win, but it was a really, really great game with Pigeon. It wasn't streamed, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in our tournament breakdown. But just to give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek, I think Pigeon did an incredible job in that game of exercising patience, and that I think in the top pot it benefited Evan to just go for it. Just grip it and rip it. You've got the win in hand. Just make them have it. And in my top 16 game, I think it was a better example of where Pigeon really benefited from just slowly putting out value pieces. And then, even though he had the capacity to fight over certain elements of it, like a Seedborn here, I forget whatever big value pieces he had out, but a lot of his stuff he was letting get countered because he didn't have that pressure of needing to push. And so that a lesson I took away from that was the value of sometimes in games what you need is to be high energy, just going at it full force, and in other times just always keeping your foot on the gas but never really flooring it. Can really, really benefit you. Super duper great tournament though. Had tons of fun.
Yeah, honestly, Denver had a great showing.
Yeah,
we had me, we had Joseph, we had Max in top 4, we had Eric here, we had Jacob Min. Yeah. Five Denders.
Dude, it was really, really, really fun. We also got not just the Denver people, but a lot of people. We went out to eat at Fogo de Chao the night before.
Oh yeah, dude, it was we could have made a 20-person pod.
Yeah. So all the Magic pods the day after were full of stories of having the meat sweats.
Dude, oh my god. I consume too much cheese bread and I'm a little lactose intolerant.
It was so tasty. We also got to hang out with Tim a lot because he was staying at the Airbnb with us.
Shout out to Gold Saber.
It was tons of fun. We got to play a bunch of games with us and the people we traveled with. It was all in all just a great time. Tavern of Souls really did an awesome job pulling off this event. Another thing I heard from a lot of people was I think the judge team here was really, really good. They just had enough judges that I felt like they were always floating around, kind of keeping the peace. And kind of making sure that everyone was having fun and that none of that excitement turned into that kind of tension that can lead towards some hostility or all in all, it was just great vibes, great tournament. Super happy to have gotten the chance to go there and was really, really glad that we were both able to top 16. And even though Logan didn't make top 16, he did do really, really well at the redemption event that they had after.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he managed to take second, which was insane to me that he essentially played 2 back-to-back tournaments, given that he had no voice. The entire
I think
time.
his voice got a little better on day 2, so he got a little buff. But yeah, day 1 wasn't so pretty.
Yeah, he was literally writing on his boogie board if he was able to counter spells or not. Pass priority. Yeah, kind of going back to that conversation about pact negation and draw mentality. I am still so continually impressed by Logan's desire to win, and how even feeling terrible and literally unable to speak, he is still
I want to grind this out.
Yeah.
I bet you in the redemption event, because he was playing wrong side, he's probably pointing at his Ristic study. He's
there's pointing at all 3 Ristic studies.
There's 3 in play. Trigger.
But yeah, congrats. It was I just love getting to be like a part of a team of people going out, and I think the Denver people especially, it's nice to always see people, and even outside of Denver locals, there were people from other scenes, like the Turning Point meta guys came up and were talking to us, or getting to hang out with Tim or Evan or
like
these
the
other people.
Oklahoma buddies too.
Oh, dude, they're so
over.
cool, and we got to have tons of fun playing at Tavern of Souls afterwards. It was just all in all like a really, really good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it culminated in, now that the stats are out, Logan cracked top 20. So now you guys are both up there representing Denver.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
Pigeon's up there too now.
Yeah, I am still like so grateful and so thankful to get to be in like a city where there's always so much CDH going on.
Dude, I think Denver, hot take, and you can put this in the comments. But I think Denver, Colorado has the highest concentration of talent for CEDH.
It definitely seems that way, as someone who has only ever played CEDH in Denver.
Definitely not biased, by the way. Definitely not biased.
Yeah, it's just a strictly objective. It's just all we're looking at is the data.
Don't come take my lunch money.
It is fun. I would really encourage people, if you have time, watch some of the streamed games that Tavern of Souls did.
Yeah, that top 4 game where it's like 4.5 hours long. Like most of it was honestly Evan doing a really good job with all his deals, with his politicking.
He's a really, really good politicker. Yeah, I think part of what has led, like me and Logan to see a lot of the success that we have is getting to watch players like you or Max Sternberg play. And I know you as well have, like Tremnick or other players that you follow. Tremnick's the GOAT over in the European scene. And so, yeah, if even if you're in a place, that's not, firing off like silver or gold events, I would still encourage you kind of follow some of these bigger tournaments that do have like a streaming capacity, because it gives you that opportunity to have access to that kind of like next level of play. And if you see a player, like Freedom Waffle, or like Comedian playing, and you're like, wow, they like play the same way I play, but like 1,000 times better. A lot of them offer coaching. Yeah. So overall, super proud of the Critical crew, as well as all the other Denver guys, and just really, really happy to be out there. Speaking of other crews that are out there, just a good card. Back at it again. Another episode. This time they're talking about Treasure Nabber.
Dude, this card, I ran it before Dockside got banned. And I was like, for the 2 weeks I played it, I was like, one game I was like, wow, it took a lot of rocks. And then I realized at the end of the game I took like 20 damage to Mana Crypt and Mana Vault. And I was like, oh, just kidding. I died to this thing.
I remember for like a week after Dockside was banned, I was like, it's like he's still here. Because I was putting Treasure Nabber and stuff.
Yeah. Me too. After Dockside ban, I put the Treasure Nabber back in my deck, and I was like, maybe this will fix the Dockside thing. No, I just die anyways. Tapping rocks.
Well, it's a good conversation. I'll always appreciate the Taxi guys for keeping cards on our radars and pushing us to evaluate the game in new ways. Really fun episode.
Dude, it's a rogue,
Whoa, holy cow, dude! It's to Treasure Nabber, Rogue's Passage is just a passage. What? Bringing back a segment from an earlier iteration of keeping tabs on CDH. We also kind of hopped onto Reddit, and we're seeing what some people are talking about, seeing what a lot of the discussion was around. One of the ones that we saw was people talking about, how do we feel about stock up? So this was a card that came out in Aether Drift. I feel like due to a lot of the Hashaton and the Ketramos dialogue, stock up wasn't something, at least in CDH, I saw a lot of play. But in the weeks that have followed, it seems like this is kind of becoming a pet card of a lot of people. 2 colorless, 1 blue. It's a sorcery. It says, look at the top 5 cards of your library, put 2 of them into your hand, and the rest in the bottom of your library in any order. I mean, it's basically half a gift ungiven if you think about it.
God. Oh, my God. Stop.
It kind of falls in this category of, like, it's somewhat cantrippy. Works really well in kind of like stormy lists.
It's better than a cantrip. It puts 2 cards.
2 cards in your library. No, in your hand, and then 3 back in your library.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the bottom.
On the bottom. So you can put your Thassa's Oracle on the bottom, decon for it, and then just cast it raw.
Right.
Dude, it's I don't know what to think about this card. I know at least 3 or 4 people who are super duper hot on it. And there's definitely, some players I respect who are talking about it, but also it just kind of reads to me as something that's this kind of feels like a jack of all trades cards, where it's not especially good. It's just kind of generically useful.
So this card feels like how like Brainstorm is right now, where it's like it's great in 60 card formats, wherever it's legal, but it's not necessarily very powerful in cEDH, because for 2 and a blue I can just cast Ristic Study instead.
Ristic Study, I think this is going to reveal how we feel about the Denver meta. You could also cast Copy Enchantment. You could basically cast Mirror Maid.
Yeah. The thing with like cantrips like this, or like super cantrips like this, is that it's really hard to like cast spells that only benefit yourself once, versus like tax effects right now are like primarily the meta.
I think that a card that I would compare this to, that it kind of weirdly reminds me of, is Malevolent Rumble. And I think what makes that card really good in the decks that it's good, specifically Rock Thrash right now, is that it also creates a body, and it can combo with Underworld Breach if you have Earthcraft out. And so for me to think that this card is like super duper good, I would need it to do a little bit more than just offer card selection plus card draw. I feel like I would need some other utility.
I think a lot of 60 card players are like comparing this to Demonic Tutor, but that's only because they're allowed to run like 4 copies of every card in their deck, so they have more redundancy in this regard.
Yeah.
But we're playing a 100 card singleton, so when you cast Dock Up, you might just see like 2 lands realistically, and then like a creature, a sorcery, and an instant, and it's like in 60 card you could find like what you're really looking for.
So I guess bouncing off of that, decks that I can see doing kind of wanting this, I think are I feel like a lot of like Is It or kind of Krark decks that are looking to kind of like storm off, and they just need something to keep good times going. Either they're running copy effects or they've got cost reducers out. I can see this card having potential in Raw.
Oh, maybe Raw seems gas with this card.
Yeah. Holden Prio, after you suggest AP mid lane, let's talk about stock up.
I think this is like decent in Raw, because you cost reduce it for 1, and then you for 1 card you get 2 cards out of it, so you're gonna cast more stuff.
And then this like I just wish it was an instant. I think if it were an instant, I'd be way higher on this.
Oh, if this was an instant, God, that'd be so good.
That would be.
But then, okay, let's compare this card to Quick Study. Do you know what that one does?
No.
Okay, so it's exact mana cost as this.
Okay.
Except it's an instant that draws 2 cards.
Oh.
So like, is this better or is that better?
Oh, interesting.
Like that's what I think you give up for the instant speed is this card selection, right? Neither of those effects are played in cEDH, right? Quick Study and Stock Up right now, outside of various select decks. But it's like, is it worth it to give up the card selection of 5 cards for the instant speed?
Do you think you would like this card more if it put the 3 that you didn't select in the graveyard?
Oh, Hell yeah, that'd be so good. If it was like a surveil 3 draw 2, like that's kind of what you're saying, right?
Yeah,
that's pretty good,
dude. Because I would.
I still wouldn't play this in blue farm.
No, that would. I think that would kind of open the door for this into Jeskai piles, though.
Yeah.
Because then you're also essentially able to like go infinite with this in LED and breach.
Yeah.
Well, in infinite, you're getting rid of like half your library. By the time,
quote unquote.
but by the time you've run out of cards, you've also run out of library, and your Thassa's Oracle is like, well, I guess win the game here. I don't know. I when I see cards like this, I know that there are situations that it's really, really good, and I just can't see it yet because I don't play the deck that this is absolutely cracked in.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful for either like the cEDH community on Reddit or individual players who have good experiences with this. And they're like, once you actually cast it in a game, it feels a lot better than it looks, or stuff like that.
It's kind of like Dig Through Time. I like that card a lot. So.
Dig Through Time is weirdly good. It's the truth. The truth is out there. Dig Through Time is out there. Speaking of things that are out there, so many decks in cEDH. So many. And we can talk all we want about what's the top deck or what are the top 3 decks. But people top 4 or top 16 with weird decks all the time.
Kodama is shy.
Kodama is shy. Kodama is shy was what I took to Heisenberg. Definitely, I think qualifies as fringe.
What a freaky ass
capital F fringe. But I think a question always at the back of people's mind is like, what's my main deck? Or if you're talking to another player and you're like, oh, it's great to see, what deck are you playing or what's your main deck? And sometimes I feel like players they play one deck. They're just like, this is it. This is my forever home. And then they just like never stop playing, Roxai or Sisei or Urza. And other players kind of like bounce around a lot. And, can never play a deck for more than like 2 or 3 weeks before they like want something that's, either the commander's not good at or the color wedge isn't good at. And so they have to go find another deck to kind of like scratch that itch, whether it's like access to counter magic or different types of tutors or certain and specific combos. So as a player who has played a lot of blue farm, when you played it for the first time, were you like, well, this is it. This is my whole personality now.
God, no. I lost so many games on blue farm that I actually like hated the deck when I first started. I was like, how the fuck does anyone win with this deck? But keep in mind, this was when like the stats said, or like the quote unquote stats said that Winota and Thrasios Bruise were the best decks in the format, which was a while ago.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
To say now, but that's a while ago. And I was like, damn, I just keep fucking losing to this like Thrasios deck. It makes infinite mana on turn 3, and what the fuck am I doing on turn 3? Like, not doing any of that. Like, dude, it took so long for me to actually start liking blue farm, and all it took was realizing you just cast for 630 and draw 20 cards.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
If you're stopping at 15 cards, you're doing it wrong. You got to go to 20.
Yeah. Make sure you get the little.
So after you like started being able to like find your way into wins with T and K more, were there moments where like you went on like losing streaks and you're like, I'm done with it. I wish I was in green.
No, there were so many times I'm just like, God, I don't have the consistent turn 1 dorks like Kinnan or TNT or like other green decks or even Sisei, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just everyone thinks like TNK is like super easy to start with or whatever, but it does take a level of skill to start playing the deck before it feels comfortable. And it's like when you're losing on what people call quote unquote is the best deck in the format, right? You're just like, wow, am I really that fucking bad at the game?
It feels so
Jesus
bad.
Christ.
It feels so bad because when you win, and so this is a little bit specific to blue farm. We'll open the door to talk about other decks in just a second. But like when you play blue farm and you win, Yeah, I feel like if you talk to any blue farm player, they say the same thing. It's like the deck's piloting itself, right? Because the deck has such a strong identity and a relatively consistent list that if you're playing it to its maximum potential, while you're doing a lot of these kind of fine-tuned interactions to get everything out of like every card that you can, at the end of the day, it's a breach list with fastest Oracle Decon. Yeah. And so you're going to kind of gravitate towards those pulls, and they're really, really strong combos, and you just have so many card draw engines and so many points of interaction that it can feel as if the deck is just this like, you know, super like high performance car, and you're just behind the wheel just pressing the gas pedal. But then when you lose, it feels like it's all your fault. Like either you let the deck down, or you're too stupid to know like with the counter, or and it's just like you have this rush of negative thoughts running over you. And honestly, that's a huge part of why I kind of stopped playing as much Blue Farm. And while I want to circle back to it, I feel like I was just having a hard time playing it and having fun, because when I did lose, I mean, I had a really similar experience of, I'm like, I guess I'm just like the worst. I guess I'm just an awful player. And sometimes when you play other decks, you know, like Derevi or something, you know, Bant has some pretty like well-known flaws, and every color pile does.
When you lose on like more fringe decks, you can kind of psychologically trick yourself into thinking it's not really your fault.
Yeah, for sure. Like if I lose on like Rograk Tavesh, it's not like, oh, I guess I just don't have it. I'm not built for cEDH. I can say like maybe Rakdos it's super strong right now. And so I think that's something I found myself looking for as I was trying to find, and I guess still am in many ways, trying to find a deck that I feel like I can play for more than 2 or 3 months at a time, is that right balance of like it's either its commander or its colors have what it takes. You've got good win cons, you've got good ways of getting there, but also it's like it feels good. Like it rewards you for playing it. It develops you as a cEDH player, but also gives you opportunities for like either pile expression or brewer expression by adding either like a card that you think is really, really cool, or letting you just kind of like play like a quirky combo that's like really, really cool.
Stock up in Blue Farm.
Stock up in Blue Farm.
That's what Eric's gonna do next.
Cut Tainted Pact and Demonic Consultation for stock up and give some given. Yep. You're welcome. But I think this is a question that I find a lot of players ask. So if you're talking to someone, you know, let's say at your next tournament, you're sitting across the table from someone who is their first tournament, and they say, Jason, you're the Blue Farm guy. You're Mr. Blue Farm.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't want to play Blue Farm. I'm still kind of new to the format. And this player says to you, how do I find a deck to quote unquote main?
Honestly,
what would you tell him?
God, this would be a pretty long conversation, but
yeah.
The main points I'd go over with them is, what do they want to do in Magic? Right? If it's playing big, fat creatures,
yeah,
you got Kinnan covered.
Yeah, dude, Kinnan's got your back.
You want to play like a Storm deck, play like Stellally or whatever like Stormy deck there is, like Kess or whatever, right? Like, honestly, just follow your heart in this regard, right? You're not gonna, if you're thinking about what deck to main, you don't have to win tournaments right away. It'd be cool if you did,
yeah.
But what you just have to follow your heart in this regard, because if you start cEDH and you're forced to play like a meta deck that you hate, what's the point of playing cEDH?
Yeah,
right? You're here to have fun. At the end of the game. At the end of the day, it's a children's card game. We're here to have fun.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I think that's I think that makes a lot of sense. I imagine I would also want to have a long conversation, because I think there's a lot of different elements into that. But I think the thing that would come to my mind is like, don't put pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
like
you're new to the format. You don't need to become Freedom Waffle overnight.
Yeah, like I don't know, maybe I've just watched too much anime, but in the back of my mind there's this like, oh, I pick up a deck for the first time and I just automatically play it better than anyone who's ever played it before.
Dude, remember, One Piece is over like 1,000 episodes long. Okay?
Yeah.
Rome wasn't built in one day.
Bro, I literally picked up Orvar and I was like, I'm gonna be the Orvar guy.
Oh no, where's Orvar now?
Where's Orvar now? I got bored, which is crazy because the deck has so many different ways of playing, but at the end of the day I lost. And instead of thinking like, oh, you know, that was like a really interesting game, I wonder what decisions I could have made differently. No, when I lost, I went, I hate this deck. I hate this game, and I hate myself. And so for me, one of the things that's helped me kind of like, you know, move forward and decide if I like a deck or not is after games end, like even if I lost, was I still able to have fun? Did it, you know, maybe asking some more evaluative questions. Did the deck like reward me for playing the way I wanted to play, or did I feel like I had to kind of like go against my instincts, right? If I'm saying things like, oh, I'm not supposed to do this, but I really want to, you know, oh, you know, detutor for something random, or was it more of like, the deck was this kind of like fine-tuned engine that was doing a lot of the heavy lifting for me, freeing me up to more mentally either engage with table politics or freeing me up to spend that extra processing power on how can I like ensure that this win is protected, or all these different things. And so I definitely have played decks where even before the game's over, I want to like wash my hands and never play it again. And other decks where even if I lose, you know, back to back to back, all I want to do is like want to just keep playing cEDH. Yeah. And for me, at the end of the day, that's what most important is, like whatever keeps you playing. Yeah. Because the only way you're going to get better, the only way you're going to get to that Freedom Waffle level, to the level you're at as well, is by an insane number of games. Like, and even if your deck is your favorite deck and it's super duper interesting, you're gonna eventually end up on this cycle where you get bored of it, and then you add a new card and then it's interesting, and then you go back to your old list and it's kind of boring again, and you know, or another deck gets really strong that's really good against your deck, and all these different things. And at the end of the day, like, I don't think anyone picks the main deck just purely based on statistics. It's more of this really complex web of different things. But one of the biggest threads in that, I think, is what causes you to have fun. Yeah. And how you can have fun in a way that results in wins.
Yep.
And a very similar topic, so we maybe won't spend as much time on it. We've got recommendations for first cEDH deck. I know that kind of an important aspect of our channel, I think one way that I've worded it is that we're kind of aimed at like the mid-range cEDH player, in the sense that, you know, people who have either are attending tournaments currently or are expecting to in the near future, and who are either kind of in this grind mentality or are in general pretty familiar with the format and have been familiar with it for a while. So I wouldn't expect a lot of our viewers to have never played cEDH before. But what I do think is that not only us, but a lot of our viewers are in scenes where they're trying to expand cEDH and are often talking to people who are new to the format. And so I can very easily see people here trying to go from a four pod that regularly plays on Fridays to try and, you know, bring a fifth or a sixth or a seventh player in. So let's talk about, as people who have, you know, started playing cEDH, you know, played it just for fun for a while, and then now we're at this point where we're regularly like traveling to tournaments. So having played at multiple different levels, if you could rewind time, you know, and talk to, you know, Jason before he even starts playing cEDH, or if I could talk to me. You know, I think the first cEDH deck I played was Logan's Hackball.
Simic?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Simic
Merfolk? Yeah. What would you say, like, oh, here's a good deck to, like, either learn to format, or here's a good deck to give you a feel for it, maybe to help some of our viewers kind of proselytize or evangelize cEDH in their local game stores?
I think giving them a mostly creature-based combo deck is the best way to get into the format, because in casual, right, you still have your creatures, all that. Like you can transfer that knowledge to cEDH, such as decks like Yuriko or Najila, right? Those decks are like, wow, we still do combat math, all this, all that, except you throw in a little bit of extra spice that you might not see in casual play. Like, oh, maybe you get infinite combats now with Najila, or even like extra damage with Winoto, right? Oh, now we're running Kiki Jiki combos, right? And it's like that slight shift up is there, but it's not large enough to alienate them from the format. Unlike giving them something like Inala to try to play for the first time. Like if you gave someone Inala for the first time when all they've done is play casual, I don't think they could ever figure that one out.
And I get why people do. I actually feel like I know a lot of people who started cEDH. Maybe this is just the specific community I've been surrounded by, but started cEDH with Inala. And I think it's because casual with this is this super duper brew heavy space, like even more so than cEDH, because you have such a large card pool, and what it takes to be a casual capable card is a lower threshold than what it takes to be a competitive capable card. And so you just have decks that, because of their proficiency or because of their reputation, they are too good for casual, and not necessarily good enough to be a consistent staple in cEDH, which lets you play a cEDH deck but still have this kind of like hipstery, like, oh, they're playing Inala effect. And so I think that can generate a degree of interest in newcomers, because you hear about this, like this deck that has, a 21 step, combo that you can pull off basically every game, or these like super fun interactions, like, oh, Rogsai, you're going to consistently be able to like win on turn 1 or turn 2, or you hear these stories, and it's interesting and it's cool and it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, but then you're like starting to mulligan and you realize that you are in like foreign waters, and even just the cards you're looking at are so different than the cards you've been looking at for the vast majority of your Magic experience. And so I really like that example of creature-based examples, because I think even though, for instance, Najila is still playing, intuition piles, rhythmically, you're still going to be playing along lines that will sound familiar to casual players
for sure.
in ways that aren't daunting. I think Najila is also a great example of a deck that it lets you do these kind of like bombastic things if you get to swing out and then create 20 tokens. Yeah. Like that's interesting.
And that's fun, right? Like, oh, wow, I just doubled my power every turn. Like,
yeah,
that like I play cEDH to do degenerate things at the most powerful level.
Yeah, you just play Derevi, and then suddenly you get to untap like 20 lands, and you only have like 4 lands, and you get to do all these crazy things. I think I wonder if TNT would potentially be good. Well, it is creature combo. I think it's not creature combo with cards that are in your command zone.
It's a little hard to have someone draw the entire deck and then be like, what does every card do, right?
I think
something that would be like easy is like Magda, right?
Ooh.
Magda, like you can kind of just like pregame explain like the 1 or 2 combos in the deck, and all like the game plan is literally tap your dwarves, make treasures, and then tutor whatever you want with Magda.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just fun to, maybe not for your opponents, but maybe it's fun to just be like, okay, there's a God Pharaoh statue in play. You guys are cooked now.
Yeah, it lets you. I mean, I think it's rough because Magda gets a lot of hate on the back of how strong it is. But I think that means that like a lot of lists are built around still being able to play if your commander gets killed like 4 times. And that means that I think I can see it being like a decent deck that like it still does the Magda thing even if you're playing it suboptimally. Do you think Kinnan would be a decent deck for people to start with?
Yeah, Kinnan is like the straightforward make mana, and then it's like pretty straightforward. You see it on the card where it's like activate Kinnan. You put and then you get like the roulette high, like you're at the casino, with the slot machine. All right, do I roll a consecrated sphinx or do I roll nothing?
Either way, I do think that as cEDH players, it's important for us to have these conversations, just so that we're not kind of pulling the ladder up on our way out. Like as we continue to improve, sometimes we can even look at other cEDH players and think of them as playing like a different format, just because sometimes tournament play is so different than other play. And the more distance we create between us and other Magic players, the harder it can be for the format to grow. And so just trying to remind ourselves of what it's like for beginners and then orienting ourselves around. I think Logan's great at this. Like he always carries at least 2 or 3 decks around that he doesn't really play. He's not really that interested in playing, but they're very beginner friendly. I think that's a huge part of why the cEDH culture at Enchanted Grounds specifically has grown a lot, is because he was super duper intentional about trying to kind of like
just fostering the community. Like honestly, like just give it a try. You know, he's like, just give it a try, and if you like it, you can have it. If not, well, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
It's like tasting a new ice cream flavor. You don't have to eat it if you don't like it.
Yeah. No, for sure. But I do think that if you're one of those cEDH players out there, like bemoaning the lack of like tournaments in your area, but you're also uninterested in playing games with people who like aren't very good or who only play casual.
Yeah, help your community. Like you can foster players to be players you want to play with.
Absolutely. I think in the same way that like, as Magic cards are getting spoiled, we kind of like imagine what those cards are going to look like once they're released and kind of brew them. I think oftentimes as a community, we need to practice that skill of when we meet new people and they're like, I've never played cEDH before, but I've got this Krenko deck that really pops off sometimes. Can I play with you guys? Imagining a world where you can help like play a deck that runs along similar lines and gets them excited about Magic in the same way that deck does, but is potentially like a little bit more viable.
Yeah, or even
as
more
you move
like
up brackets.
fine-tuned even.
Yeah, helping people kind of like be a part of the community so that eventually they can be one more person in the tournament. You guys can see each other and talk about your decks.
Yeah, or like they can help spread and foster the community.
Yeah, even if they don't want to play cEDH, maybe they know someone who does. Kind of headed towards the end. cEDH metagame breakdown. Things seem pretty good right now.
Yeah,
I'm really enjoying cEDH. I think the format seems like it's in a pretty fun spot, at least for me, because I love having 8 Ristic studies, even if only like one of them is mine.
Oh, dude, it's so fun to play with. It's so fun to play with all these Ristics. I do admit it's a little cancer sometimes.
Yeah, it definitely. I do think it's a really punishing time to not be in blue. With the exception of Magda.
Magda's always the outlier.
All of these decks. Yeah, there was a cEDH TV video on like how well each like color performed, and I think if you take Magda out of the mono red color shell, it has like less than a 7% like conversion rate. like forever.
maybe it's because all the good monocolor red players are playing Magda.
It's cool to see like Yuriko and Najila so high up there, as well as Glarb and Derevi. Shout out to
more people need to play Kenrith, dude. I think that deck's underrated.
Yeah, let's scroll down a little bit further. This was something we were talking about before the episode. Kenrith and Atraxa are 2 commanders that we think are kind of waiting in the wings.
Yeah, because like think about it, right? Both of these commanders have extremely powerful effects just stapled onto them, and the longer the game goes, the more utility you get out of these commanders versus something like Rograk, right? Rograk's great early game, but late game Kenrith, you just activate him like 20 times. What are you doing with Rograk? Oh, yeah. Activating a Springleaf Dome?
Yeah. He has Menace and First Strike. Trample. Oh, how could I forget?
Menace, First Strike, Trample.
Yeah, I think that I can see why they weren't as popular or weren't as strong over the course of the last 3 or 4 months. But I can definitely see with the way things are going and with the cards that are really popular right now, I think cEDH is ready for a Kenrith or an Atraxa pilot to just just like break through and start getting wins out
with all
crazy.
these like games going so long, like you can realistically kill someone with Kenrith or Atraxa.
You really just need to set yourself up for the long game. And I think these kind of like big beefy commanders that are in colors that allow you to win the game even if you don't cast your commander, right? The
shells are just strong enough
super duper
by
good
themselves, and then the commander just adds the extra layer you need to go through.
And so like you can play these kind of like grindy decks with commanders that reward you for being in a later portion of the game. I mean, we definitely we could be wrong with that. Maybe Hashaton's about to have his renaissance on his like second birthday. Oh my God. But I'm definitely always interested in trying to take a step back and look at the big picture of cEDH. I'm really curious to see what some of our commenters think, the up and coming commanders are,
for sure.
As well as if any of the Final Fantasy spoiled ones kind of make a big
Watch
impact.
out, Cloud coming to you next.
We're coming for you, Cloud. Some things to look forward to. Mid-range heaven. You think we're in mid-range hell? No.
It's
Embrace it. It's mid-range heaven. This is Gold Sabertooth's tournament up in New York. Definitely still got some open slots. I believe he's putting up some of his own cards up.
I saw like a cradle, I think, right?
Oh, man. Wish I could go. Wish I could get that cradle.
Dude, best part about this tournament, free pizza.
Free pizza.
You heard it here first.
That was legit the first thing I noticed.
Free pizza, guys.
And it's in New York, so it's going to be good. Another upcoming tournament, just making sure I click on the right tab, is Cradle to the Guild.
Yeah.
From the Cradle to the Guild. Till the sweat drips off my balls.
What the fuck? We're almost at the
end. This is a tournament. The friend of the channel, Papa Squats, and some other great people that we've gotten the chance to interact with are going to be a part of.
For this
Another cradle out there. They're practically giving them away.
Dude, where's mine? What the fuck?
I want one too. If you want one and you're in Phoenix, Arizona, sign up for this. Drive out.
Yeah.
Nick was posting about it on Twitter, showing some videos of the location.
The LGS looks sick. There's so much room for everyone. Like
I think
there's enough room for like all your accessories too.
We were talking with one of the people running it, and I think they said it used to be a circuit city.
Wow.
I don't know if it's true, but I know it looks super spacious and a really, really great way to play.
Yeah.
Dude, even if you're even remotely in the area, if it's a bit of a drive, look at the details for it.
Bro, go get that cradle.
Dude, play Atraxa, play Gifts Ungiven, play Stock Up, get the cradle, and then blame us.
Definitely play Stock Up.
Well, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully we're able to keep bringing information to you guys about what's happening in cEDH. I know we're always kind of scrolling the net. If there's anything that we missed, let us know. Or if it's kind of between episodes and you're like, oh, I bet those critical EDH guys would love to talk about this, feel free to either hit us up in Discord or
or even just leave it in the comments too. We usually check all of our comments.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for watching. Have a good one, and bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.